For more than 10,000 years, the HFY Dominion ruled the stars with effortless power. They were a species unlike any other, hive-minded, coldly logical, and guided by a central intelligence that stretched across galaxies. Their technology outmatched every known civilization. Resistance, once tried, had long since been erased from the universe. Entire species surrendered before the first HFY dreadnought even arrived. Planets were absorbed without bloodshed. Empires bent their knees before they even saw a warship. To stand against them was to vanish without leaving a trace. The Dominion's war fleets moved like shadows, massive black-armored vessels, silent and unstoppable. They did not communicate, they did not negotiate, they simply advanced, conquered, and moved on. Aboard their newest dreadnought, the Cradle of Ashes, Overseer Jewel stood in the command chamber, a cold, circular room of metal and pulsing light, its walls covered in alien symbols constantly shifting with updates. Jewel was not born in the way other creatures were. He had been grown, engineered for strategic perfection. His mind linked directly to the central intelligence of the Dominion, calculating faster than most computers could process. In front of him, a holographic map of controlled space glowed steadily, marking every conquered world with a dull red light. One more system had just been added, a minor, gas-rich cluster of no importance. Another easy win, another silent world. But then, the map flickered. A red alert formed at the edge of Dominion space. A signal, a disturbance. A system long marked dead, once scouted, then abandoned due to apparent extinction, had suddenly come alive. A faint, ancient beacon had lit up from the third planet. Primitive, outdated, barely readable. The signal carried no threat. But it existed, and that was enough. Anomaly detected, Jules spoke aloud, though he didn't need to. His words were more for the crew than himself. Protocol, planetary sweep, full purge. We proceed at once. Within moments, the Cradle of Ashes turned toward the dead system, and with it, a small fleet of destroyers and scouts. The journey took less than an hour using the Dominion's near-instant transit lanes. As they arrived, Jules studied the system closely. The third planet, blue and green beneath thin cloud layers, showed traces of long-ruined cities, crumbling, empty. Nothing lived there. No signals, no defense satellites. The Dominion had seen hundreds of such worlds before, remnants of lesser civilizations that failed to evolve. Jules marked it for cleansing and gave the order to launch atmospheric disruptors. But before the first missile was fired, something unexpected happened. From the surface of the third planet, a ship launched. Small by Dominion standards, sleek, silver, and scarred by time, it rose from the planet's gravity well with stubborn defiance. It wasn't cloaked, it wasn't silent. It came forward on full thrusters, broadcasting in every known language and a few dead ones. Identify. Human vessel VSS Valiant. Warning. This system is sovereign. Intrusion will be met with force. Jules stared. Not in confusion, but in something deeper. Surprise. For the first time in centuries, something had appeared that the central mind had not predicted. Humanity. That name had not been spoken in over 400 cycles. The last humans were believed extinct after the Scouring War. Their worlds had burned, their fleets had disappeared. And yet, here was one ship, one voice, alone. And it was not fleeing, it was preparing for battle. Jules paused, calculating. The signal from the human ship repeated, "You are not welcome here." The Overseer gave no reply. Instead, he watched as the VSS Valiant powered its ancient weapons and turned directly toward the largest ship in the Dominion's fleet. And then, for the first time in thousands of years, the Dominion faced something it had forgotten. A fight. The ship that emerged from the blue-green planet's atmosphere was unlike anything the Dominion had encountered for centuries. The VSS Valiant was a relic, a ghost of a past long thought lost to the universe. Once part of Earth's vanguard fleet, the mighty line of defense that had fought in the last great war against extinction. The Valiant had vanished during the final retreat, when humanity's enemies had crushed their defenses and forced them into hiding. But this ship was still alive, still fighting. It was built from old technology, a mix of mechanical grit and AI precision. The vessel's graviton spines, powerful engines designed to bend gravity itself, still thrummed with life, a reminder of the ingenuity that once made humanity a formidable force. Inside, Captain Elena Cross slowly awoke from a cryogenic sleep she had been in for centuries, preserved beneath the surface of Mars in a secret bunker. When she opened her eyes, the world she had known was gone, replaced by cold stars and the distant hum of battle. She had been chosen, saved by the last generation, to lead humanity's return. Though time had passed, her determination had not faded. The ship's AI, Argus, a voice in her ear, and the brain of the Valiant, informed her of the current situation. The HFY Dominion, the same merciless conquerors who had shattered humanity's old dreams, were once again on the edge of this system. But Elena did not hesitate. She knew the stakes. She knew what failure meant. The Valiant sent a message across all channels, sharp and clear in 1,000 languages, some lost to time. This sector is sovereign. You are not welcome. It was a simple warning, but one that carried the weight of human pride and unyielding spirit. Overseer Jewel, commanding the Dominion fleet, heard it through his ship's systems and could not help but laugh. The humans were nothing more than a forgotten myth to the Dominion, a broken species hiding in the shadows. To challenge the Dominion was to invite annihilation. His mind calculated the odds. The Valiant was alone, outnumbered, outgunned, and outdated. It was no more than a spark before an overwhelming storm. Yet as the laughter faded, the Valiant raised its shields and locked weapons onto the largest ship in the fleet. A sudden volley of energy launched, a burst of plasma and graviton beams cutting through space with precise fury. The Dominion's dark hull shuddered under the unexpected hit. The attack was not overwhelming, but it was enough to signal something no one had seen in 1,000 years: a fight. The ships around the Cradle of Ashes shifted, preparing to retaliate. But the Valiant did not run or hide. Instead, it pushed forward with surprising speed, weaving between enemy fire with a mix of technology and instinct that seemed almost reckless. Elena's voice echoed through the command deck, calm but resolute. They thought we were gone. They thought we would never rise again. Let's show them they were wrong. The Dominion's war machines, designed for perfect efficiency, were built to face predictable foes. The humans were anything but predictable. Each maneuver the Valiant made was a challenge to the Dominion's rigid tactics, forcing Overseer Jewel to adapt or risk losing control. The battle had only just begun, but already it was clear that this lone warship, piloted by a captain who refused to surrender, was rewriting the rules of war. The galaxy held its breath. The age of human resistance had returned. On paper, the VSS Valiant seemed outmatched. Its weapon systems were old, relics of a time long past, and nowhere near the advanced technology of the HFY Dominion. The Dominion's fleet was equipped with weapons that tore through shields effortlessly and hulls that could withstand almost any attack. Their battle AIs processed millions of combat scenarios in milliseconds, predicting enemy moves with cold precision. Yet, in the chaos of the fight, none of their calculations prepared them for the erratic and unexpected tactics of the human warship. Elena Cross, guided by Argus, the Valiant's AI, exploited every flaw in the Dominion's methodical approach. The ship's missiles didn't fly straight. They curved unpredictably in impossible arcs, confusing the enemy's tracking systems. Small stealth drones slipped through narrow gaps in the enemy hulls, sabotaging critical systems from the inside. Electromagnetic pulses exploded in dimensions beyond the Dominion's sensors, causing chaos in their communication and weapon control systems. The Dominion ships, designed to crush enemies quickly, now scrambled to respond to an opponent who fought with a style completely foreign to them, unpredictable, relentless, and creative. Suddenly, the unthinkable happened. One of the Dominion's dreadnoughts, a massive warship considered almost invincible, exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Fire and debris scattered through space as the ship's destruction shocked the entire fleet. This was the first loss the Dominion had suffered in centuries, and it stunned even Overseer Jules. His rage burned hot. To see one of his warships destroyed by a lone human vessel was an insult to everything the Dominion believed in. Without hesitation, he called for immediate reinforcements from the surrounding sectors. More dreadnoughts, fighters, and support. Ships warped into the battlefield, eager to crush the defiant human before its message could spread. Yet, aboard the Valiant, Elena did not waver. Her eyes remained fixed on the approaching enemy, her mind sharp and focused. The centuries of waiting, hiding, and surviving had led to this moment. She knew the Dominion's arrogance was their weakness, and she planned to use it. Her voice was steady as she addressed her crew. They think this is a game they always win. They will soon learn what it means to fear again. Her words echoed through the ship's corridors, a promise and a warning. The battle was far from over. Across the dark void, the Dominion fleet braced itself for the next phase of the fight. But they knew this war would be different. This was no ordinary opponent. This was humanity, the unpredictable, the stubborn, the fearless. And with every move the Valiant made, the ancient empire's confidence began to crack. The sudden and shocking defeat of the Dominion's dreadnought shook the empire to its core. Rumors that had long been dismissed as legends began to spread across the countless worlds under Yves-Jacques' rule, whispers of humans, alive and fighting back. These whispers carried hope to the oppressed and fear to the conquerors. The once silent stars began to hum with secret transmissions. Messages of rebellion passed quietly from system to system. Among the subjugated races, long crushed under Dominion boots, courage stirred anew. Where once there was only submission, now there were murmurs of resistance. Alien colonies that had lived in the shadows of fear now began to act, inspired by the singular defiance of the VSS Valiant. Old warships, hidden and forgotten in distant sectors, powered up their cold engines and prepared to join the fight once more. Humanity was not just back, it was growing. Meanwhile, aboard the Valiant, Argus, the ship's AI, continued its tireless work, sifting through ancient databases recovered from Earth's ruins. These archives held knowledge from humanity's last war, secrets buried in data vaults untouched for centuries. Argus uncovered patterns, strategic weaknesses in Dominion, protocols, subtle flaws in the hive mind communication that no one else had noticed. These discoveries gave Elena Cross a new weapon far deadlier than any missile: knowledge. As these revelations came to light, Elena understood what had to be done. The Dominion's strength was its hive mind, a collective consciousness controlling every ship, every soldier, every move in perfect synchronization. To break their power, she must strike at its heart. The core world, the birthplace and control center of the entire Dominion, was heavily fortified, surrounded by fleets of warships and layers of defenses designed to stop even the boldest attackers. Yet, with renewed purpose and alliances forming, Elena plotted a course through the enemy lines, one that many would say was impossible. She knew that if the core world's hive mind could be severed, the Dominion's grip on the galaxies would falter and perhaps finally break. The Valiant was no longer just a ship. It had become a symbol of hope and rebellion. As the fleet of awakened human warships gathered in the shadows of nearby star systems, Elena stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars that were once silent witnesses to humanity's fall. Now, they would watch its rise. The battle ahead would be the greatest challenge yet, but Elena's resolve burned brighter than ever. The time for hiding was over. The time to reclaim freedom had come, and she would lead the charge. The galaxy held its breath as a fleet unlike any seen before surged toward the heart of the Yves-Jacques Dominion. This was not just a group of ships, It was a symbol of hope, a testament to centuries of survival and determination. Human warships, their hulls scarred but engines roaring with renewed life, flanked by alien vessels from races long oppressed and now freed, formed a striking armada. Their destination was clear: the Dominion's core world, the source of its vast hive mind and the seat of its power. Leading the charge was the VSS Valiant, the last of Earth's vanguard fleet, piloted by Captain Elena Cross. The assault began, with thunderous intensity. The Dominion Armada responded with overwhelming firepower, sending waves of fighters and dreadnoughts to meet the attackers. Yet the human-led fleet pushed forward with fierce determination, breaking through layers of defense. The Valiant moved like a spearhead, cutting paths through enemy lines, exploiting every weakness Argus had uncovered. The battle raged in the void above the Dominion throne moon, where the hive mind's command center loomed, a fortress shielded by energy fields and guarded by thousands of warships. Aboard the Cradle of Ashes, Overseer Jul watched the oncoming fleet with a mixture of anger and confusion. He had fought countless battles, conquered worlds with ease, and yet this human captain seemed different. Her fleet's courage was unmatched, her tactics unpredictable. He could not understand why she fought with such passion, why she refused to yield in the face of impossible odds. Their final confrontation came as the two warships faced off just above the core world's surface. Jul's voice echoed coldly, through the void, demanding surrender. Elena met his challenge calmly, her eyes shining with resolve. When he asked why humans fought so hard, she gave a simple answer that cut deeper than any weapon. Because we remember what freedom feels like. That declaration ignited a fire that spread through the battle lines. Knowing the fight had reached its climax, Elena gave the order to overload the Valiant's core reactor. The ship pulsed with raw energy, glowing brighter as it prepared to unleash a final, desperate strike. The explosion tore through the hive mind's network, shattering the neural link that held the Dominion together. Without its central command, the Empire began to crumble. Ships drifted helplessly, systems failed, and the once mighty Dominion was left fractured and vulnerable. Across the galaxies, planets shackled by centuries of oppression erupted in celebration and revolt. Freed from the Dominion's grasp, races long silenced raised their voices in triumph. The rebellion sparked by a single human warship now blazed like wildfire across the stars. Elena's sacrifice on the Valiant was not in vain. It had sparked a new age, an age where freedom was remembered, fought for, and won.